this is James from GameFront, and I'm live at the Microsoft, I guess it's the Microsoft build. Where are we, Dan?
We're deep in the bowels of Microsoft headquarters at their Pre-Pax event for ID at Xbox.
Great, and it's Dan, right?
Yes.
Whew, just making sure. And Dan is a developer on a new game coming first to Steam and then to Xbox One. It's called Roundabout. Dan, would you give us a little brief description of what Roundabout is?
So Roundabout is a 70s B-movie game where you play as a constantly spinning limousine.
Okay, so it sounds pretty crazy, and I'm not going to lie, it's absolutely crazy. Not only are you driving this limousine that is 100% of the time spinning around in a circle, but in between there are these full motion videos that are great. Could you explain, there's some story behind the full motion video. Would you give us a little bit of info on that?
So we wanted to tell the story of Giorgio Manos, who was this famous revolving limousine driver in 1977. And so we really wanted to sort of get the 70s across in the best way possible, and FMV kind of seems like the best way to do it. And part of that is I used to work at Twisted Pixel as well, which is famed FMV house. And when you start working there, they inject you with something, and you can only make FMV games from then on.
I can't decide what I like better. The gameplay is really fun. When I watched it, I felt it reminded me of the game Pain and reminded me of Goat Simulator. But when I played it, it was very different. It felt kind of like playing Tetris mixed with some sort of a bumper cars game. What is the goal for the player in this game?
So the goal for the player in this game is an open world, so there's tons of things you can do. But the main goal is you're picking up people and taking them to their destinations, which sounds easy at first, but when you're constantly spinning and people are asking you to play baseball or farm their crops for you, it gets a little tricky.
Yeah, so when you're picking up these coins and hitting people, you're creating a multiplier, correct? And is there a large variation of scores, or is there basically a tier of like, if you get 100%, everybody's going to get this score too?
There's a huge variation of scores. So we have a percentage system, which is kind of works like remember like how Geometry Wars did achievements. They had some really cool stuff like the pacifist thing and like different ways that you could play the game. And that's kind of how your 100% for each mission is made, is we have don't explode, collect all the pickups, things like that. And then for your scoring, it's a little bit like Tony Hawk, except instead of doing tricks, you're picking up stuff in the world, and instead of doing manuals, you're running over people.
So is there a way to string, like how high of a multiplier can you get when you're making these tricks in the world?
It's only really as high as your skill level. So we have an achievement to get a 52 times multiplier, and that unlocks a new power-up for you. If you can basically not touch anything and sail through perfectly, you can probably get into the hundreds, but that's pretty
I would say next to impossible. But
next to impossible, yeah.
The other sensation, I know this is probably very different than what you think, but you know that Tetrino move that you do in Tetris where you're trying to get the T part in there? Like when I'm driving the limousine, I feel like I'm just trying to wedge it in at the right time. What are some tips that you can give players for strategy attacking these puzzles as they're considered?
The big strategy is to always keep in mind how the limousine is rotating and try and plan out where your limousine is going to be at a certain point in time. Another cool trick you can do is you can hold down the triggers that will speed up your rotation. So if you want to time like through past a moving car, you can speed up, line yourself up perfectly, and then wrap around.
Now, I didn't know that. I think I could have beaten this game already with that little trick in mind. And then finally, how many missions are there in this open world?
So it's pretty big. We have over 40 rides that you can pick up. We have about 10 different challenge missions, which work like Trials HD's challenges. We have a bunch of properties you can buy, collectibles to pick up, worlds everywhere connected to each other. So it's a big game. So we're pretty excited to be sort of wrapping it up and getting it out there for September.
Great. So it's releasing on Steam in 2 weeks, is it?
Yeah, releasing on Steam in September 18th. And that's PC, Mac, and Linux. And we also have a deluxe edition, which has a whole bunch of crazy extras. And then we're coming to consoles in early 2015.
Great. And Dan from No Goblin, developer on there, thank you for your time. And I really look forward to playing some Roundabout.